As the earth is covered by ice and snow in winter, so in the spiritual winter of the earth is overloaded by a people whose spirit is frozen. They can transmit light, but they cannot transmit heat. At both extremes, the North Pole and the South Pole, you have an extreme frozen condition. So it is when death overtakes the human being. The head is frozen, meaning no more power to think. And the feet are frozen, meaning there is no more power to move. You have gone out of the land of the living. Now we repose with the dead. You got it? All right. Now, if you feel the dead body is what? Cold. No life in it. When we are cold in our interpersonal relationships to one another, death has come over us spiritually. So when one of us offends the other, the brother or sister might say, wow, that's cold. It's just a slang term, but it's cold when you mistreat one another. And when we mistreat one another, that is said to be cold because it reflects the death of the spirit. So in the New Testament, we get the word which reads, we can tell that we have passed from death into life because we love the brotherhood. So here, death is synonymous with hate of the brotherhood. Life is synonymous with love of the brotherhood. Now, you know that love is much talked about, but hate is much practiced. Is that right? So if everybody talks love, but the whole earth is practicing hate, then the earth is under death. Now, my question to you is this. Since death comes when the death of the earth comes, when the earth turns in a relationship to the sun where it gets light but not heat, death comes to the man and woman spiritually when we turn away from God. Now, if man is by nature a Muslim, as the Quran teaches, all human beings are born by nature to submit to the will of God. If we are born by nature to submit to God's will, then why should we ever turn away from God? If in the Quran, and every Muslim says this prayer, and brother said it today in these words, surely I have turned myself to thee, O Allah. I ask you, if you are in fact a Muslim, why would you have to turn yourself to God if you are born by nature to submit to God? If you have to turn back to God, what turns you away from God? In the Bible, Elijah must first come to restore all things. And the scriptures of the Bible say that Elijah would turn the hearts of the father to the children and the hearts of the children back to the father. So the man Elijah becomes an axis which allows man to turn back to God and God to turn back to man. So Elijah produces the resurrection. Listen to me now. If man is by nature born to submit to God, how did man turn away from God? What caused the spiritual death of man? The hatred that exists, the wars, the rumors of war, men turning against each other, women turning against each other, the envy, the jealousy, the strife, the contention, the confusion. Where did it come from? Everyone will say, the devil did it. Fine. If the devil did it, what did God have to do with the making of a devil? You say, well, God is holy, pure, and undefiled. I agree with you. But since nothing can be in existence without the permission of God, the question must be asked, did God make devil? And if he did, why? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us lessons to study. And in the 40th question and answer of lesson number 2, we are asked the question, why did God make devil? Notice the word I'm using. I'm using the word make and not create. Yes, sir. When we use the word create, we are dealing with the originator or the creator of all life. But when we use the word make, then we're not necessarily talking about the creator God, but we are talking about one who takes created essence and fashions it into shape. Now follow me carefully. Why did God make devil? What did he have in mind? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad answered this question over 50 years ago. He said to show forth his power. That's very interesting. God allowed a devil to manifest his own power. God allowed evil to test the people of righteousness under evil to prove that evil is not equal to good. God allowed a devil to prove that he is all-wise and that he could make a devil weak and wicked and give him power to rule for 6 days or 6,000 years and then come and destroy Satan and his works in one day without falling victim to the devil's civilization. In other words, to prove that Allah is God, he always has been, and he always will be. Now, if God permitted a devil to be made, hear me well, then if you want to charge somebody for all the evil that is going on the earth, you could charge it to God, because he could have stopped it. Many of you who have an argument with God, you say, well, look at all this evil. Some Jews say, why did you let Hitler kill so many of us? You could have stopped this. Why didn't you? So God must be asleep. In the Bible, it says you do not blame the clay, you blame the potter. For it is the potter who shaped the clay, who fired the clay. And if the vessel is made for dishonor, then you cannot blame the vessel. But you must look now to the purpose for why the vessel was made in the first place. Listen now. God wanted to bring about a season in the earth, just like he brings about seasons in the physical world. He wanted to bring a season about, a winter season, a season where the spirit and power of man would die under a wicked one who would turn man away from the path of God. Does the Bible and Quran substantiate what I'm saying? Yes, indeed. The problem is that you have been looking for a devil that is a spirit. The devil has a spirit, but is not necessarily totally spirit. Your Bible says, listen to me carefully, as by one man sin entered into the world, death then has passed to all men, for all men have sinned. But it didn't say as by one spirit, it said as by one man sin came into the world. That means that a whole world was in progress. And a man brought rebellion against God's law into the world, and did it in such an artful way that all men have rebelled against the will of God, so that death has passed to all men, so that the curse of death, spiritual death, is on the whole human family. You are not what you could be. You are not what you should be. And you are not what you will be. But you are now not even a shadow of your real self, because your real self is dead under the weight of rebellion against the divine law and will of God. So if the earth is dead, then the earth stands in need of a resurrection. And if by one man sin entered into the world, then it's going to take another man coming into the world to remove the curse that a man brought.